to rehabilitate Ondo Road raised calls for contractor accountability. Ondo Assembly Ministry aligned on priorities for advancing state education. Federal government targets over 8.8 million people in economic stimulus plan. From the foreign scene, rights group warns of ethnic cleansing amid Israel evacuation threats in Gaza. Thank you very much for joining us tonight on the news at 7 on Osrc television. My name is Oyewumi Ayinibara. Ondo State's Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has hosted a special meeting of the APC Leaders Caucus in Akure ahead of the 2027 general election. The meeting held at the banquet hall of the Government House in Akure aimed to strengthen the party in the state ahead of the 2027 general elections. The Governor, Aiyedatiwa, who briefed party leaders on his administration's development efforts as the renewed upward development program, called for unity and expressed optimism about the party's future. The caucus later appointed the Secretary to the state government, Dr. Taiwo Fasharanti, and the State Secretary of the APC, Mrs. Roslyn Okafo, to coordinate the State Secretariat of the caucus. At the end of the meeting, the party leaders endorsed President Tinubu's re-election and appointed coordinators for the State Secretariat of the caucus. When road construction projects are abandoned and contractors fail to return to sites, resident and community leaders often take matters into their own hands, repairing portions of the road to keep them motorable. But as this communal effort grows, so does the belief that such communities deserve compensation either from the government or the contractors initially awarded the project. In this report, Blessing Obi examines how residents in Akure are stepping up to rehabilitate neglected roads and whether their efforts warrant official recognition and compensation.
Durable and accessible roads are vital to daily life and the smooth flow of transportation. However, challenges emerge when road projects are left uncompleted and outrightly abandoned by contractors. In such cases, some communities are forced to step in, carrying out repairs themselves to maintain access and ensure safety. Recent examples along the Ikpisha Road and the Akure to Benin Expressway show residents engaging in makeshift repairs on roads under the government purview. This raises an important question: should these communities be compensated for undertaking responsibilities meant for contractors? Many residents believe so, arguing that both their time and financial contributions deserve recognition.
A community project and the government award a community project. They give it to a contractor to do. Later, the contractor move out of the place or of the community. They didn't do that project. Then, if they pay, the government have the right to tell them. I mean, if the government pay them, then the government have the right to tell them, go back to site. Why do you leave it? But if I am not paying, then as a contractor, I cannot do it. I will leave it. Then now, if the community starts doing the project, then the government has the right to compensate them, to pay for what they have spent on that project. They have the right. The government should pay them.
In Ikpisha, residents joined forces to fix damaged portions of their roads, making it motorable once again. While they take pride in their efforts, they believe the government should not only acknowledge their work, but also complete the road as a compensation.
We do it with our community effort. Through my community, the landlord, and voluntary donations. That's why That's what we used to do it. About last week now, I had to gather my youths to go and do some jobs there. The government, they can repay it because the money we used to do it, if the government's willing, they can repay us back. That's part of compensation.
All of us are government, and when we are trying to do it, not that maybe we are helping the government, but we are helping ourselves. As we are helping ourselves, we are also helping the town as a whole. So that what I just think that they need to do for us as a compensation is that we should come to our aid to do the road.
Meanwhile, calls are growing louder for contractors who abandon project sites after receiving payment to be held accountable and compelled to return and complete the work. Blessing Obe, Osrc News.
Following the recent reconstitution of the Ondo State House of Assembly standing committees and the appointment of a new Commissioner of Education, Science and Technology, members of the House Committee on Education have paid a familiarization visit to the Ministry to strengthen partnership and align legislative priorities with the Executive's policy direction in the education sector. The team of legislators led by its chairman, Kolawole Ologede, assured of the Assembly's support at all times. Omoshiliola Adesoye Ajayi now reports.
It was a gathering of key education stakeholders in Ondo State as the newly reconstituted House of Assembly Committee on Education, led by its chairman, Kolawole Ologede, visited the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. The visit, which comes shortly after the swearing-in of the new Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Igbekele Ajibefun, provided an opportunity for both arms of government to chart a fresh course for sustainable development in the education sector. While addressing the Commissioner and senior officials of the ministry, the chairman noted that the visit was not only to familiarize with the ministry's operations, but also to reaffirm the legislature's commitment to effective oversight, collaboration, and support for education policy execution.
We believe in your capacity. We believe in what you can do to rebrand the education system of Ondo State. You are here now for a huge task, which the House of Assembly are behind you. Thank you. To let you know, anytime you need us, we are there for you. We are here to collaborate with you.
He maintained that the committee will not rest on its laurels at ensuring that education, which is the bedrock of society, is given the needed attention for meaningful developments. Other members of the committee called for continuous teachers training, restructuring of schools across the state, effective implementation of teaching of indigenous languages in schools, charging the new commissioner to take education in Ondo State to an enviable height.
The greatest challenges in this education sector is our nonchalant attitudes of both the students and the teachers, because people take education with levity.
Let us look at our Yoruba language in secondary and primary school. Yoruba and literature study. If you look at our OP, even secondary school, they can't longer read Yoruba.
Because you can see the progression of how the education system is going down the drain, and I think it has to do with more of the personnel probably managing that affair of the educational sector.
Responding, the Commissioner, Professor Igbekele Ajibefun, expressed appreciation for the visit and described it as a strong sign of unity and support between the legislative and executive arms. He outlined the ministry's priorities under its watch, which include improvement of learning infrastructure, teachers' capacity building, advancement in science and technology education, and enhanced monitoring of public and private schools.
To reposition the education sector, we need to really come up with new things, with new ideas, because if we continue to do things the same way, we will get the same result. So we have identified a number of things that will be done differently to really reposition the education center of Ondo State. And we are determined to do this.
Both the legislature with a promise to synergize for the betterment of the sector. Omoshiliola Adesoye Ajayi.
You're still watching us for this and more.
It is time to prioritize your health with the Jiggy Ashiwaju Free Medical Outreach. Date Thursday, 7th August 2025. Time 8 a.m. prompt. Venue Grassroots Movement for Tinubu Office, number 25, Oyemekun Road, Adigbola Junction, Akure. Come and enjoy a full range of absolutely free medical services, makeups, eye examinations, free eyeglasses, free medications, and many more health boosting surprises. It is your chance to care for your body, protect your vision, and take charge of your health at no cost. Tell your neighbors, bring your family. This is a medical outreach with purpose and compassion. Proudly brought to you by the Grassroots Movement for Tinubu Ondo State Chapter, working to build a healthier and stronger community. GMT. In God we trust.
Glad to know you're still watching the news at 7. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook at OSRC TV, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel OSRC TV. Odo. President Bola Tinubu has charged state governors to prioritize the welfare of Nigerians by investing more in their future, putting more money in rural electrification, agricultural mechanization, poverty eradication, and improved investment in infrastructure. President Tinubu's charge to the governors followed the presentation by Minister of Budget and Economic Planning Abubakar Bagudu at the 150th meeting of the National Economic Council (NEC) held at the State House Council Chambers, Abuja. Tinubu urged state governors to collaborate with the federal government to drive economic development in rural areas across the country. This is just as the National Economic Council (NEC) has endorsed a new word-based development strategy, Renewed Hope Word Development Program, to actualize double-digit economic growth through direct intervention in all the 8,809 administrative wards across the 36 states in Nigeria. The President also directed NEC to set up a committee to enhance the actualization of legacy projects, especially the Lagos-Calabar and the Sokoto to Badagry super highways. Minister of Health Ali Pate says the industrial action embarked upon by the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives has been cut off. The minister, who spoke after a closed-door meeting, said the decision followed agreement reached with the leadership of the Nursing Association. However, the leaders of the union has declined to speaking on the matter after the closed-door meeting. Nurses and midwives under the association had earlier commenced a warning strike on July 29, 2025 to demand improved welfare, fair allowances, and better working conditions for nurses across federal health institutions. The federal government has cautioned young women against entering risky relationships formed through social media. The Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Iman Sulaiman Ibrahim, issued the warning in Abuja at the launch of the 2025 Leadership Empowerment, Achievement and Development Camp and the unveiling of the National Child Advancement and Achievement Program. Iman, who reminded attendees that digital spaces were not always safe, noted that too many young girls have been lured, kidnapped or killed by individuals posting online. The minister, who cited the tragic case of 16-year-old Precious Alex, who was lured through Instagram and found dead in 2024 highlighted the growing dangers of digital exploitation. She stated that trust must be earned, not downloaded, while urging caution among young women. A group under the banner Adifarati Lives On ALO initiative has called for the proper immortalization of former State Governor Adebayo Adifarati. The group made the call during a commemorative rally held in Akungba Akoko to honor a man that described a visionary and selfless leader. Chief Adebayo Adifarati served as governor of Ondo State from 1999 to 2003 and later became the presidential candidate of Alliance for Democracy. The rally began with prayers at the graveyards and followed by a symbolic walk through the streets of Akungba Akoko. Leader of the group, Olasoji Olugunwa, noted that while former governor like Dr. Olusegun Agagu has public institution named after him, then Chief Adifarati, despite his enduring contributions to education, infrastructure, and good governance, has not been duly recognized. Samuel Orokoyi also urged lawmakers such as Sokwe Abulu and Adebuyiga Adifarati to champion legislative action that will secure the late governor's rightful place in the honors of history. Another key organizer, Pius Babale, affirmed that ALO initiative will continue its annual remembrance activities until proper recognition is achieved. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Ondo State has suffered a major setback as prominent members of the party in the Idori Federal constituency defected to the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC). Among the defectors is the member representing Idori Federal constituency in the House of Representatives, Festus Akingbaso. Joy Pius reports that one-time Accountant General of Ondo State Lawrence Ibukun led the defectors from Ifedore, while Paula Ademujimi oversaw those from Idori.
The All Progressives Congress (APC) in Ondo State received thousands of members who defected from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Idori Federal constituency, led by the member representing the federal constituency and deputy governorship candidate of the PDP in the 2024 election, Festus Akingbaso. At the defection ceremony, which was held at Odode Idori, the defectors in their numbers defied the heavy downpour to show their loyalty to the ruling party. The federal lawmaker, Festus Akingbaso, appreciated Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa for his purposeful leadership style, while stating that joining the APC will help him deliver more dividends of democracy to his constituents.
Everybody like to join the ruling party now. It's a seasoning party. So, and for me to be able to bring back dividends of democracy to my constituency, I must be able to defect to the ruling party in order for me to have something back home. And this is why I'm there.
Other defectors expressed satisfaction at the reform of President Bola Tinubu, citing it the reason for joining APC. They described the movement progressive and one they are proud to be part of.
I'm from the federal local government. We want dividends of democracy in our local government, and we don't want to stay in opposition in perpetuity. We want to join the ruling party.
His philosophy, his program about economic infrastructure of Nigeria is yielding, and I think the right way to do right now is to follow that economic infrastructure of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu.
He was acknowledged and applauded as one president in the last 10 years in Nigeria that has come up with an agenda that can grow our economy, that is on the right course. Then we want to support the progressive to ensure that he wins his re-election.
Receiving the defectors, Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, represented by his deputy, Dr. Olaide Adelami, congratulated the people of Idori and Ifedore for having a good representative, adding that APC is a party for all.
One thing that is unique about this party is that it doesn't matter the time you join. It doesn't really matter. Everyone will find his place in APC.
APC chairman in Ondo State, Ade Adetimehin, welcomed the decampees and described their defection a homecoming.
If you look at the statistical data of Idori and the Ifedore, the crop of people that join our party today, these are leaders that nobody can fault them. In their chosen career, they made the mark.
More than 6 PDP ward chairmen in Ifedore and 7 out of 10 ward chairmen in Idori defected to the APC, along with thousands of their followers. Joy Pius, Osrc News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has announced the commencement of the 2025 nationwide continuous voter registration exercise ahead of the upcoming elections. According to a statement by the Commission via its X-handle, online pre-registration will open on Monday, August 18, 2025 through its official portal cbr.inecnigeria.org. The Commission further revealed that in-person registration will commence on Monday, August 25, 2025 at all INEC local government area offices and designated registration centers nationwide. It stated that the exercise will run from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Mondays to Fridays. INEC urged eligible Nigerians who have not yet registered to take advantage of the opportunity to do so. Unions in Nigeria's aviation sectors have issued a 7-day ultimatum to the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, over the prolonged delay in implementing a new salary structure for workers under the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency. In a joint letter, the unions expressed frustration that despite concluding negotiations with NAM management over 8 months ago, agreed salary adjustment remained unimplemented. The ultimatum, which expires on August 7, warns of a total withdrawal of services by aviation workers if the issue is not resolved. Nigerian Army is set to recruit 13,000 new personnel before the end of 2025, but faces significant challenges due to limited resources. Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, revealed this during a visit by the Senate Committee on Army to the Army headquarters in Abuja. Oluyede lamented that the current funding mechanism, particularly the envelope budgeting system, are inadequate to meet the Army's needs. The Army Chief urged the committee to consider creating special funding provisions outside the envelope budgeting structure to enable the Army to provide required combat support and welfare infrastructure. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Army, Senator Abdulaziz Yar'Adua, acknowledged the Army's funding constraints and reaffirmed the committee's commitment to advocating for improved budgetary allocations. Adamawa State Governor Amadou Fintiri has increased the monthly allowance of National Youth Service Corps members 7 in the state from 20,000 naira to 30,000 naira. The governor made the announcement at the swearing-in ceremony for the 2025 Batch B Stream 1 Corps members held at the NYC Permanent Orientation Camp in Damari, Kirei local government area. Fintiri also reaffirmed his administration's commitments to youth development and welfare, stating that the allowance hike complements ongoing support efforts such as regular food provision and other welfare initiatives. The governor, who revealed plans for the construction of a new NYC retention camp in the state, directed the NYC state coordinator to involve corps members with relevant qualifications such as architects, civil engineers, and quantity surveyors in supervising the project. Now to the foreign scene. Elsewhere in Kenya, an economist has disclosed that Kenya's textile industry will face renewed pressure as US tariffs on exports are set to take effect on August 1, raising concerns about the future of a sector that has grown under the African Growth and Opportunity Act AGOA. Sunday, Adinyoju brings us details.
An economist says Kenya textile industry may face renewed pressure amid changes to U.S. trade policy under President Donald Trump. The country is facing a 10% tariff on exports from August 1st. There are also concerns about the future of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, or AGOA, which has supported the development of Kenya's export-oriented apparel sector. The U.S. trade initiative provides duty-free access to the U.S. market for eligible African countries and is due to expire in September. Moses Mujiri Mwangi, an economist at the Institute of Economic Affairs, says it appears that the AGOA may lapse.
If that happens, it means we have to go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves, can Kenya sustain its textile industry? Will investor be still willing to invest in Kenya textile industry? Do we have new markets? Can we still export to the US with the tariffs and the duties and still remain competitive?
In April, Trump announced a baseline tariffs on all imports, citing the need to protect American industries. Mujiri says uncertainty could slow capital investment and produce demand for other imports like machineries used in textile production. Kenya also exports coffee, tea, pharmaceutical and horticultural products to the United States, but Mujiri noted that apparel exports have benefited uniquely from duty-free access.
And therefore, of course, the effect will be less business for the port. Less business means less people employed on the same. It's a major producer of the same to the US market. It has competition from all over the world, and the other people probably producing more efficiently than we are.
According to the World Bank's 2024 Kenya Economic Update, the country has struggled to diversify its exports base despite global trade growth and attributes the issues partly due to domestic inefficiencies and protection policies. Sunday, Adiyonju, Osrc News.
Israeli officials have repeatedly claimed that forced evacuation orders in Gaza are a military necessity. The government's plan to force Palestinians out of the street or transfer them to a concentration zone in the south have been described as ethnic cleansing. Israeli rights group B'Tselem warning that the forced displacement is a threat to Palestinians not only in Gaza but also the occupied West Bank and Israel. Omoshiola Besuyachai has more.
More than 66% of Gaza's population are refugees. Their story of forced displacement may have started when Israel was created in 1948, but it is far from over. The latest chapter is Israel's attempt to expel them from their land once and for all. Since the war on Gaza started, 90% of people have been displaced at least once, turning memories from nearby into a living reality, this time broadcast live on television. A new report by the Israeli rights group B'Tselem suggests that Israel's goal is to turn the temporary displacement of Palestinians into a permanent one, using destruction and starvation to engineer the population. Almost 90% of the Gaza Strip is designated either as Israeli military zones or included in Israeli forced evacuation orders. Israeli officials declared Gaza's ethnic cleansing as a war objective, pushing people from the north of the Strip into concentration zones or so-called safe evacuation zones in the south. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli cabinet established a new unit tasked with executing the departure of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from.
I said, I have no money to rent or build a new place. They said, go to France, you'll have a salary and a good life. They want to evict us in any way possible.
Meanwhile, in Israel's negative area, demolition orders for Palestinian homes have quadrupled. since the war started. Legislation banning the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees isn't intended merely to stop its operations. It attacks the organization that preserved the status of Palestinians as refugees, among many Israelis.
Yes, now before we go, a quick look at one of the top stories. We told you that communal efforts to rehabilitate and do roads has raised calls for contractor accountability as residents and community leaders demand official recognition. And that's it tonight. Thank you very much for your time. Good evening.